So being an avid Eric Johnson fan, I've read countless interviews and seen countless interviews over the years. I remember reading a long time ago that he used an HS-2 bridge pickup in his Strat, but didn't have the bottom one. It wasn't noiseless. It was not split. He didn't have like a push-pull or anything, but it wasn't engaged. And he was like, yeah, but I think it adds a little bit more oomph and a little bit more gain, even if it's split, even if it's a single coil now. Because that other coil is still there, even though it's not activated, it's still like interacting somehow. So here I have a Lollar Special T in the bridge. It has this kind of EQ, and it's a true single coil, Alnico 5 single coil. In my road-worn telly, I have a Seymour Duncan vintage stack with a push-pull, so I can make it a true single coil. Arguably supposed to be the exact same thing as this. Alnico 5, single coil, etc. Similar EQ. And I don't think they sound the same. It's just something I wanted to give a shot today, as well as kind of like a little extra bonus with the road-worn itself, being able to kind of EQ the stacked to be as close as to the split as possible. This is just for gain sounds, by the way, and I'm in my FM3, the new firmware 10, which is awesome. And I'm using a Wrecker Liverpool. So everything is on 10, regular old single coil here. And just for fun, let's add a little bit of talent to that tone. And now time to switch to the road-worn with the Seymour Duncan vintage stack split. These I set at the, Seymour Duncan is like, I don't know, just use your ears for pickup height. But I went with the Fender noiseless pickup height recommendation, which was like 6/64 on the bridge, high E, and 8/64 on the low E. Sound good to me, so Lollar says to use 8/64 on both sides of their pickups, whatever. Let's hear the difference. And again, let's crank up the talent. about you, but I do hear a difference. And even if like the Seymour Duncan is 2/64 closer on the high E than the Lollar, I did hear a bit more maybe aggression on the high E in the Seymour Duncan, but I also heard a bit more, I guess, clarity or something, or tightness in the low end in the Seymour Duncan, and a bit more softness from the Lollar. The Lollar was also softer on the high notes. It might be the case that Lollar is a bit more sensitive, a bit more polite and subdued, I don't know. And this is more aggressive. It might be the case that this starts to sound like that in like 10 years or something, I don't know. But it's kind of interesting. I might want to roll the tone off on this or alter the preset to just kind of be a little warmer for this split than I would that natural single coil. So they do, however, kind of sound like in the ballpark at least. Again, one is brighter than the other, but would I really be able to tell the difference? Is it unmanageably different? No. Are they the same thing though? Not really. Lastly, I'd like to compare this split with this noiseless on two different presets with two different setups to see if I was able to get them in the ballpark of each other. So this is the split on the lead channel again, and I warmed it up just a tad from the last time. This is the same thing, but like tweaked in such a way. There's less gain, more presence and whatnot on the noiseless, stacked version. So what's interesting is that there's quite a bit less gain on this preset than there is the other one. There's quite a bit more presence, that's for sure. And there's no added like pedal to, take out extra highs. So that being said, I think it was able to get closer where it's not, a night and day difference. Although there's, obviously still a difference. It's not as bad as when like it's dialed in for the noiseless and then I split it, or it's dialed in for the split and then I stack it. So there you have it, a true noisy, unnoiselessable pickup, a noisy-able pickup, and then a noiseless pickup. So was Eric Johnson right? Is there a big difference between a stacked single coil with the noiseless part taken out of it and a only noiseless single coil? I think so, but, he's an idol of mine, so I'm inclined to believe that. Let me know if you heard any difference in the comments, and thanks for watching.